Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into the D2L once again. We just closed Season 4, but guess what? We got some unfinished business from Season 3. That's set to be resolved. Alliance taking on Fnatic here in our Season 3 third place decider. And I know it's been a little while. It's been delayed. Both teams were working with us. Schedules got packed, so on and so forth. We finally nailed down the day and the time, and very much our pleasure to have you aboard for this. And the storyline, really, both of these teams are going to be at our grand finals for Season 4 as well. So this is a potential preview match, and definitely a match you're not going to want to miss. Taking a look at Alliance. Alliance been up and down a little bit following 6.79. The patch and its introduction has really caused turmoil across the scene, and Alliance, as good as they are, obviously your defending international champions, they're not immune to it. They're led by Lodon, the hard carry position, Bulldog in the offlane, S4 in mid, with Ake as a support jungler, and EGM on hard support. They're up against a team who, well, they've been up and down as well. That's Fnatic. Fnatic, of course, making it all the way to the finals of Dream League and finishing up in second place, coming out of the West here in D2L Season 4. So Fnatic certainly a team that, I mean, again, just one of those teams that has been up and down quite a lot. We'll get their plate up here in just a moment. But again, you know, these two teams already heading to our grand finals. And, yep, there we go. But both these teams heading to our grand finals. Alliance finished up perfect in group stage play here in D2L Season 4. Again, this is the third place decider. But Fnatic, well, they took the long road. They finished in fourth position, fought all the way through our bubble race playoffs to reach the position they eventually wound up in. They're led by Fly on the hard support, with Era on hard carry, Hani in mid, No Tail on support, and Trixie out in the off lane. And when you look at the way these two teams match up, it tends to be very interesting matches. Alliance, very, very much the reputation of dodging fights, the reputation of just trying to outmaneuver and outplay, outthink their opponents, while Fnatic likes to create chaos and thrive within that. And, you know, you're looking at two teams that both have core five-man compositions that have been together for quite a long time. So these are two teams that certainly know how to play with each other, know how to play against each other, have seen each other quite a lot, and certainly have their own personal wheelhouse when it comes to where they're comfortable and how they're comfortable trying to secure their wins. So once again, welcome in D2L Season 3 decider here in the tail end of D2L Season 4. I'm your host, Aaron A.C. Chambers, and really our pleasure to have you aboard. I'll be solo casting at least the first game here today. Hopefully we'll try to get an analyst on coming up later, but for now, just continuing to really look forward to the action ahead. A lot of money on the line as well. That's the thing to remember, not just for bragging rights. There is quite a bit of cash separating these two teams in terms of the prize pool that was left over from Season 3. So before we move ahead, though, make sure you check out finals.d2l.gg. This is a nice warm-up. Like I said, both of these teams already on their way to our grand finals. Very likely a match we're going to see take place there coming up January 7th through the 10th at CES. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can certainly tune in here on D2L on Twitch, or you can catch us live if you happen to want to attend the event. Totally free admission, not a problem. You don't even have to pay your way into CES. Just find a way to Caesar's Palace, and we'll take care of you. Going to be a hotel discount offered as well in conjunction with Hera, so doing everything we can to make sure everyone can join us if you're up to the task. But if not, again, catch us here on twitch.tv for the coverage of that, looking ahead to our second week of January. For now, though, Alliance and Fnatic resolving that unfinished business from Season 3. Third place decider on the way. It'll be a best of three. Game 1 just about to get underway. Stick with us. We'll be right back. And as we can see, the draft underway, Fnatic taking on Alliance here in Game 1 of our third place decider from Season 3. And things looking kind of familiar, at least for Alliance, picking up the Nature's Prophet. They'll have Ake roaming on the Crystal Maiden, certainly two heroes well within their wheelhouse. Admiral Bulldog, arguably the best Nature's Prophet on the planet right now. And, you know, that's a hero that, for the most part, Alliance has gotten away from a little bit. Post 6.79, he just isn't He's still plenty viable, just in terms of his utility. Not quite as high as it once was. Split push, certainly. Just how long it takes for the Nature's Prophet to get into gear. You don't really see the guaranteed Midas Shadow Blade build coming out nearly as much. A lot of times it's kind of back to a utility Nature's Prophet build just to help you transition from the early game into the mid game. And we'll see what Alliance wants to do with that. But that has certainly been a point for both of these two teams, adapting their play styles based on the latest patch, especially whenever they had such consistent and nailed down play styles to begin. On the side of Fnatic, they grabbed the Alchemist and the Visage, two heroes that we've seen them run in a variety of roles. Alchemist can be run as a support. Era does like to farm him quite frequently, and we've even seen Hani take him mid a handful of times. Doesn't look like Alliance thinks that's going to be the case, though, as they did go ahead and ban out the Invoker. So Invoker, one of Hani's signature heroes, so we won't see that come into play today. While Fnatic just taking away strong weapons that they just perceive as strong. I mean, when it comes to, again, post 6.79 Dota, a lot of teams that really just had these signature heroes, these sorts of play styles and so on, that's really just been adapted a lot, and Fnatic and Alliance are certainly no different in that case. Visage, though, a hero that gives you a lot of options in terms of how you want to play things out. He's a hero who can fight very early. You can build a split push lineup around him. You can also just build a flat-out pushing lineup, just a full guns forward now. Chen is available. That's worth mentioning on both sides. Fnatic has no tail on Chen fairly, I won't say fairly frequently, but he's been on the hero quite a bit here in the D2L, at least compared to other tournaments. And they tend to have a lot of success. And whenever you talk about Visage, once he hits level 6, being able to get his familiars out, Alchemist with an acid spray kind of a build makes it very hard for an enemy to defend their own tier 1s and tier 2s without overcommitting to the defense, or at least putting themselves in a situation where as soon as the acid goes down, they have to decide to either back off or engage out immediately. And Fnatic will go ahead and add more push to their lineup, grabbing the Enigma. Enigma, another hero. We've seen them. Well, the last time we saw Fly on Enigma, let's just be honest, it wasn't too hot. Fly, I want to say that was in our bubble race, and it was in one of the final series we played, or that we saw played. And the poor guy threw 2 black holes and only got 1 hero out of both of them across a 40-some minute game. So there are a lot of options in how you want to deal with that. In fact, I'm almost positive what we saw last time was a Doom pick to counterpick that. And Alliance right now with the Lifestealer pickup, that's actually a really nice pickup for them for a number of reasons. Obviously, Loda really likes to farm the hero, but that's also a favorite of Era. And Era, as good as Loda is, don't get me wrong, not saying he's bad on Lifestealer, but Era might be the best Lifestealer in the West and a contender for the title of best on the hero across the entire planet. So not only do they get Loda, a hero he likes, they didn't have to waste a ban on it, and they picked that away from Fnatic. So when you look at Alliance and what they're going to be able to do, Nature's Prophet and Lifestealer actually work very, very interestingly together. Being able to infest the Lifestealer into the Nature's Prophet gives him even more of that early threat potential. Now, Alliance does really like moving around as 4 and just freeing Loda up to sit and free farm for quite a good bit of the early game. So he is going to have another method of getting into the fights now, as S4 will get his puck, being able to load up the Lifestealer bombs, and then again with the amount of global presence that a Lifestealer and a Nature's Prophet gives you, Fnatic's really going to have to be moving well. Now, the Clockwork, obviously a nice counter pick to Lifestealer, being able to get on top of him. You drop the cogs, especially if you're able to get out a Blade Mill. You make it even tougher for the Lifestealer to try to focus you down. So they've got the tools they need. Obviously, Enigma's Black Hole as well goes through Magic Community. And just being able to have some way to account for him when it comes to his rage duration. And Lifestealer, one of those heroes that really needs to get in and out of fights very effectively and not allow himself to be caught out in a bad position once rage wears off. So being able to just account for him in that way, especially post 6.79 with rage nerfed just a little bit. Fnatic will go ahead and grab the Templar Assassin as well. That's a really nice hero, and when you look at what they're going to be able to do, they are going to have a decent amount of minus armor between Alchemist Acid Spray and the Templar Assassin with her meld. That's going to allow them to take early Roshans if they want to, but more importantly, Lifestealer's armor and his survivability, even if he does decide to go with an Armlet, and Armlet, again, not the most common item anymore, took a little bit of a nerf over the last patch or two. But they're going to have the ability to focus down that Lifestealer pretty effectively. In Alliance, though, winding things up with Leshrac, that's going to give them a fair amount of push just between the Lesh and the Nature's Prophet. They're going to have to be really Fnatic's going to have to be very, very careful and how they commit to their own pushes. And when you look at this lineup, it's definitely going to be an early activity, the early activity lineup, I should say. It will be Era farming the Alchemist as expected, so Templar Assassin will be taken mid by Hani. But I would expect this Alchemist to come out and build a very early aggression kind of a approach. I mean, obviously, you could go something with a Midas and try to scale it into the late game. Alchemist and Lifestealer, it's kind of an interesting sort of a matchup. Really does come down to item choices, and just the littlest difference, having just the one extra item really determines the way that tends to work out. A lot of it has to do with positioning as well, and in a lot of cases, you'd want to give the Lifestealer a pretty decent advantage there. But again, with Fnatic having the minus armor, having the tools to account for the Lifestealer to make sure that he can't get the job done while he's raged, between the Clockwork and the Enigma in particular, it's going to be a tough matchup for Alliance as the game goes later. So it's very possible we could see Era go with a very farm-oriented approach. But at the same time, I think a BKB kind of an approach, just a phase BKB, phase Shadowblade, even if he wants to go in that direction, they're going to be able to take the fight to Alliance pretty effectively, especially, again, with Nature's Prophet being the way he is. Now, this is Admiral Bulldog's Nature's Prophet, so certainly nothing to sleep on or to underestimate. However, he is going to take a little bit of time to get up and going. You know, a Nature's Prophet for the first 20 is so reliant on his teammates creating opportunities across the map, which he can then join into, which he can then be a part of as a +1, at least until he gets up whatever early item build he wants to go. Does he want to go Midas Shadowblade, the old school kind of a build? Does he want to go pure utility with something like a mechanism? Straight to a Scythe of Ice, that kind of an approach. I mean, obviously both have their advantages and disadvantages, but it's getting there, really crossing the bridge. They can often be the challenge and why Nature's Prophet is not nearly as popular as he once was. So, horn does blow, and we're underway. Game 1, Alliance taking on Fnatic once again here on our third place decider from D2L Season 3 with some cash on the line, and both teams playing for pride and playing for the ducats as well. Let's take a look through the lineups. We're going to have Puck being run here mid by S4. Crystal Maiden will be played by Ake. He's already going to work here in the jungle. Bottom lane will be handled by Loda and EGM. They're on the Lifestealer and Leshrac respectively. And once again, Nature's Prophet going to be taken to the off lane by Admiral Bulldog, and we'll certainly be watching him, especially in the situation he's going to be in with No Tail up here protecting Era. And that's going to be, you know, he should be able to get some experience, but he's going to have to be very, very careful. This is where Admiral Bulldog shines the most, though. He tends to play very, very safe, doesn't make a lot of mistakes in these situations, and just flat out grinds himself to success in practice, so he just knows most of the matchups you can possibly imagine. On the other side of the river, Enigma will be handled by Fly. He's actually going to work here with Trixie in the off lane. It's going to be a try on duo lane as he's joined again by the Clockwork. So we'll see how this ends up working out for them. And, you know, it's so rare to see Enigma not at least start in the jungle. You know, in terms of when he decides to start moving around afterwards, that's always open. That's always going to be something you can do based on whatever goals you have. But Enigma is just so fast and so effective coming out of the jungle that it's just rare to see them put them in a situation. But this is a lot to do with just trying to secure Trixie farm. Having him here just as an extra little safety belt. He probably will double back at some point and start going to work in the farm. But just making sure Trixie is not completely zoned out and completely put out of experience range. If he can just get to even level 2, level 3, he should be just fine. Fnatic has Hani here in mid on the Templar Assassin, as mentioned. Well, looks like a little bit of pursuit down here. I thought we might see a splitter thrown out, but not going to be the case. This is very deadly between Ake and EGM in particular, having the Frostbite to lead into the splitter. So it's definitely very, very, very lethal. And Lodo with open wounds already skilled at level 2 makes it so anytime they get out of position, Alliance should be able to focus them down and get easy kills. So Fly will go ahead and spot this DD. And just making sure that doesn't go to S4's Puck. Certainly a step in the right direction. Actually doesn't have a bottle as of right now. Hani already has his up, though, so we're approaching the point where the courier can be upgraded. We'll see if we are going to have a bottle come out on Puck sometime in the near future. So far, all seems pretty damn quiet. 10-3, the CS right now for the Alchemist, again, farmed by Era. Loda's right there with him, though, at 10-6, slightly better in the denies department. And mid, pretty even as well, 7-6, at least for the moment, as we see No Tail taking a little bit of harassment here from the Nature's Prophet. But, yeah, right now, very, very even first 3 minutes as we, once again, flash to mid. Hani and S4 just trading blows, and neither really coming out ahead. Very comparable in terms of CS and denies. The support play, pretty much in that department as well. We do see level 3 for Ake's Crystal Maiden, so he's going to be able to start moving around quite a lot. That's going to up the aggressive potential of Alliance, and it helps so much for heroes like Leshrac just to have that 1 point into the aura. Even if that's all you do, though, it is becoming more and more popular to go ahead and roll a 1-1-3 kind of a build, especially when you have lineups like this that do want to fight early, that do want to be active, just allowing them to stay on the map and continue to do whatever they can in every opportunity, instead of having to worry about mana management, instead of having to worry about, are we overcommitting, are we staying out too long, is there going to be a situation where they want to collapse on a tower and we're not going to be ready. Just really not that big of a worry whenever you have a Crystal Maiden that goes with at least one value point into the aura early on. So we'll keep an eye on how he wants to build it out after this, but very effective stacking and pulling already. So, even with the changes to the jungle, there are plenty of ways you can make sure that you do maximize your farm potential and, more importantly, your experience gain, especially on supports like these. Take a look at Bulldog. He's sitting at 5-0. Not the best situation in the world, but certainly up against a lane like this, he is doing quite well and should be off to a good start. We'll see if and when he wants to duck into the jungle, but for the moment, looks like the status quo is plenty good for both. Ake has picked up a haste rune, though, and looks like they're going to take a run at clock. Dropped a ward down, and it looks like he sniffs it out, actually. Yep, Trixie playing quite far back. And here we go. Ake going to run up, gets off the Nova, has a frostbite to spin. EGM's right there, and oops, camera jumped a bit, but the Split Earth did connect, and Trixie does manage to make it away. So a quick pause will interrupt that, and I do believe the mouse sensitivity is actually up a little high. Yep, it was. That makes me much better. It's one of those fancy schmancy Razer mice that has the switch on the bottom, and would imagine someone was using it just the other day or something and turned the sensitivity up a bit too much. There we go. Much better. But the pause, hopefully just temporary, hopefully not too big of an issue. I know that they were having some router issues, at least at one point not long ago. But continuing to look across the map, again, it's almost remarkable how even it really is. Obviously, TA having a little bit of a better time here in mid. Hani doing quite well. 20-11 at this point has opened up a little bit of a gap over top of S4's Puck. He's 18-8 for the moment right there with Loda. And we'll take a look at the goal graph coming up, but we can see this is exactly why you started out Fly down here, just to make sure that your Clockwork did get a level or two. Make sure he was in a position where he could endure being caught out like he was. Just because, again, of how lethal that happens to be. And we are going to be back underway now. And Ake with his haste rune, unfortunately, eating a lot of damage in the process, but manages to make it away just fine. And I'm really surprised at how well Bulldog's doing. I mean, again, 9-1, he's certainly not setting the world on fire, but he's already level 4.5. He hasn't been zoned out all that effectively. And with the skill build that Era's using, I mean, he's only got 1 point in Agreeable's Degree. He's got 2 points into Unstable Concoction. But again, this is just what Bulldog does. It's what makes him so valuable. And, yep, he should be able to get away here. Yeah, he's going to eat the damage. They might dive him. Here comes the TP in. Era has to rethink it. He's going to be sprouted in. S4's right there. Jaunts past him, and that's going to be first blood. Was just talking about what makes Bulldog such a valuable member of the team. And this is what he does. His instincts are just remarkable. He's almost never in a position where he's going to be caught out. And right there, it looked like Fnatic. There comes a point when you stare at someone in the off lane, especially when it's a 2-on-1, a 3-on-1, and you get frustrated at the fact that you're unable to take them out of experience range. You're unable to keep them from getting as much as they are. And then you overcommit to a dive like that. And Alliance, being Alliance, they're going to have the TP there, S4 there, to help lock down our first blood. We can take a look at the net worth and see. Hani's certainly the big winner right now, but look at where Bulldog is, sitting at just south of 2,000 gold. And at this point with 3 points into Nature's Call, he can duck into the jungle and be very quick and efficient with his farming, or he can just begin to add to the split push. He's actually going to fall back to the well right now. We see Loda and Ake farming up under the enemy tower, and this is a situation that they're going to be quite fine with. S4 rotating over. Trixie knows that he just really can't afford to be too far forward. And here comes Bulldog in just to secure this early tower and make sure that this goes down. And S4 in position. Now, Trixie's got to be real careful. He doesn't have a lot of mana either. And there's going to be the coil. Trixie going to drop the cogs and snap it. But Split Earth's there and the Frostbite make it 2-0. Alliance collapsing on this bottom lane and getting the job done. And down it goes. Up at top, we can see Fnatic trying to push down the top tier 1. There is a glyph up. if Alliance wants to try to save. It looks like they just want to trade, though. They're pushing straight through to Tier 2. And again, this is what happens with these two heroes in particular. Nature's Prophet and Leshrac. They're going to be able to push remarkably quickly. And as soon as they melt these down and we see the Edict used by EGM. And, yep, there you go. Edict up and just watch the tower mount. Tier 1 down to about a quarter health. They can glyph this again if they want. They've got help rotating over in the form of Hani, but Hani's outmanned and outgunned, at least for the moment. Gonna have to be very careful. And, yeah, he knows it. Just gonna have to hang back and eat this one. Up at top, yep, there's the glyph just to act as a delay tactic. Looks like they do want to send Era down here to try and stop it. Here we go. He's going to land in. Unstable concoction. Caught two. EGM and Bulldog hanging around a little too long. And now the big reaction out of Fnatic. Loda was there, but unable to really contribute much. Forced to just run away. Trixie not level 6 yet. Not going to have a hook to catch up with him. Now Loda's Rage will be off cooldown momentarily. He has Infest if he can find something to get into. He's going to be cogged in and tried to Rage just to get a little healing done with Feast and Open Wounds, but not going to work. So Fnatic ends up with a bad trade in terms of towers, but they do finally find their way onto the board. 2-2 as we roll past 8 minutes now. Following the skirmishes and the towers, we can see about 1,000 gold lead owned by Alliance right now, which is about where you would expect it, honestly. I mean, you're looking at a 2-2 score, dead even in terms of kills. First blood advantage did go to Alliance, but really just one tower ahead. The experience literally on the 0 line. So early on, a lot of action, a lot of movement, but no deciding advantage, at least for now. Now, Loda is not going to be getting a Midas. Very important to note, or if he is, certainly not getting him right now. Looks like he's going phase drums, and now we're going to have Trixie sprouted in by Bulldog, and now using the treants to block him in. Great gank attempt, and very successful as Loda and Bulldog add another to Alliance's tally. And S4 is going to have to be more active. He's level 8 already, and he actually went treads with a null talisman. So, again, not the biggest surprise in the world, but he's going to have to get a Blink Dagger up as quickly as he possibly can. They have to have a lot of activity on him. We haven't seen or heard a lot out of Fly. We can see for an Enigma to be just level 5.5 in 9 minutes, that's actually remarkably slow compared to what you're usually going to see. So he's got his Soul Ring up, and with about 1,000 gold in the bank, he has the option up. Hang on, Hani. Caught out here in mid, hit with the coil. Now the counter gank coming out of Fnatic. S4, that hurts Alliance so much. They really can't afford to have Puck and his mobility, his survivability slowed down that much at this point. They're just going to need him and need a lot out of him looking forward. And yeah, he's nowhere near a Blink Dagger. He's got 100. He barely has enough for a TP score right now. But Fnatic giving as good as they're getting. And really, I feel like the way that the fact that things are going even right now, especially whenever you take a look at the CS, you can see Era sitting at 42. That's right with Loda, but it does have the 1 point in Agreeable's Greed. Not the biggest difference maker in the world, but it's certainly a little bit of an advantage. Fnatic's going to have a nice window of execution that they're going to have a chance to crawl through. Alliance, again, trying to get Loda in position to fight as quickly as they can. He will be going again with a phased drum spell, maybe follow up with an SNY. We'll have to wait and see. But given the tools Fnatic has to account for him, how hard it's going to be for him to fight into these heroes, the armor reduction, again, going to be a big factor. And that's actually, we can see, that's what Era is maxing. He's got 3 points into Acid Spray, which, again, helps with their push potential. It helps them deal with heroes like Lifestealer in particular. Makes it very difficult for Alliance to set their heels and fight, even after a good coil out of Puck. And I really like the way that they're approaching this. I mean, again, it's pretty even game. But for the most part, I feel like Fnatic is certainly at an advantage right now based on nothing but composition and based on the fact that Alliance has a few things going wrong for them, namely, again, S4. Even though got his treads up, got his null talisman up, he's not in horrible shape, but they really want that blink as quickly as possible, and him dying a couple of times has really, really hurt them. And, yeah, it's only one time, actually. But, nonetheless, continuing to go toe-to-toe here in mid. You can see Alliance beginning to converge here on mid, or actually Fnatic beginning to converge on the Roche pit. And this is, I mentioned this during the draft. This is up. It's going to be spotted by Bulldog Strian. So going to be very chancy. They're going to go for it anyway. With the armor reduction from Meld, from Acid Spray, and having Enigma with the Eidolons to tank, this is a something they're going to be able to do continuously throughout the game if Alliance snaps even a little. And they're going to end up waiting around a little too long here. Yep, they're actually not even going to challenge it. Yep, they're just going to back off. So that's a free Roshan going to Fnatic. There's a coil, going to catch two. Refraction pop by Hani, and here comes the Clockwork attempt, but the hook off the mark. There's going to be a sprout on no-tail. Black hole going to catch Loda. We're going to see Alchemist actually suiciding there as he ate the unstable concoction on himself. Flies in trouble on the high ground. In the meantime, Ake being pursued out and caught out as Hani lands the meld along with no-tail. And S4 now trying to chase him down. He's trying to get the kill on no-tail. There's EGM with the Diabolic Edict for a little extra follow-up damage. Now, Edict just chews through Refraction, and we can see Trixie and Hani continue to pursue this out. They got to be careful, though. S4 is going to double back. One good meld secures that kill, though, and a triple kill currently for Hani. And S4 not going to survive long enough to jaunt. 7-6 following that engagement. And Fnatic taking control and really doing what they need to do, in particular with Hani. Now, I love what Hani's doing here. He's going straight for a BKB approach. Led off with the phase boots, obviously, but this is what Templar Assassin does. It's what she wants to do. She wants to fight as much as possible. She wants to have an early Aegis in this particular case. And I don't think we're going to see Fnatic take their foot off the gas anytime soon. They may set back and reset a little bit. Era is actually going to be getting a Midas as well. And speaking of Midas, we already saw the first one come out on Admiral Bulldog. So the drums are done on Loda, but we saw right there exactly why this team composition from Fnatic is so tough for a Lifestealer to cope with. We actually saw next to nothing come out of the Clockwork there. Trixie's hook was off. But just the threat of it changes the way that Loda wants to engage in these fights. And, of course, the black hole that we saw used to very good effect by Fly makes it very difficult for him to come into fights and feel at all confident that he's going to have the chance to get out once Rage is off cooldown, or on cooldown, I should say. So, 13 and a half minutes in, Era completes his own Midas now. Both teams keeping their options open in terms of taking this game late. But there's just so much aggressive potential on both sides that it's hard. This is one of those games that could go late. We could have a just farm fest like crazy, or the more likely option, I think, that one way or the other this game will be decided in the next 15 to 20 minutes. You see the Tier 1 in mid being traded for the Tier 1 at top. S4 doing what he can to try and ward them off. Glyph used here on the Tier 1 mid. But the push power, again, out of this composition from Fnatic is so powerful. They're going to be able to take any tower very quickly. So they're going to be needing a lot out of Bulldog. Again, Bulldog going with the Midas approach following the Bassi and the phase. He does have 2,000 gold tucked away, so might be thinking something along the lines of a Shadow Blade. Have to wait and find out. A mechanism would certainly be a nice help for them as well if they wanted to do that. Yeah, doesn't look like mech certainly not being built by anyone else elsewhere.
Top tower has been denied.
And No-Tail actually does manage to get the deny up here at top. And they do end up losing the mid-tier 1. But a lot of movement right now, and both teams just taking what advantages they can. I'm actually surprised Fnatic's not being a little bit more proactive in seeking out fights. EGM just going to go ahead and TP away. No stun for No-Tail, and Trixie not going to shoot the hook blind. Loda will go ahead and back off. But taking a look at where the items are, it will be a mech BKB on Fly, and he's actually made some pretty damn good progress. I mean, already having the mech up, just has brown boots, but that's all right. But the sooner you get up that BKB, that's really going to be when they look to execute and try to close this game out for good. Whenever they have that magic immunity on him, hopefully by then Era's farm will have kicked in off of that Midas, so we can see him putting to use already. Already has 1,300 gold. Early medallion on No-Tail, so even more armor reduction to help cope with the Lifestealer in particular. Roshan, again, is just going to be something that Alliance is omnipresent, or omnicognizant of. They cannot slip in terms of their positioning when there's any potential for Roche to be up, or this composition of Fnatic will just be able to melt it immediately. Good piece of news for them, though. They do have the Blink Dagger up on S4 now. S4's done okay, but has certainly struggled more than he would like. He's sitting at 2-2 right now. In terms of net worth, he's right around the middle of the pack. But they really just have to get a lot more mileage out of what that puck brings to this lineup. Basically, what's happening and what's going to be the threat of happening is Alliance can allow themselves to be engaged into, again, with so many tools to help cope with Lifestealer and his potency at this stage of the game. If Fnatic's able to set the terms for these fights, they should win. We've been seeing that play itself out. Alliance has been able to keep the kill score close, just through good movement and little payback kills and so on and so forth. But they really need they're really going to need S4 to be the tone setter. He's going to have to be the one who plants his flag and decides when and where they fight. And until then, they just need to dodge and make sure they stay very safe. We can see Fnatic's looking for a fight now, moving out with a double damage rune already up on Trixie.
Dire's top tower
And
is under attack.
they are going to have a chance to catch out at least one. Loda might be baiting a little bit here. He's going to be spotted. Yep. And they're going to go ahead and pull back. He's going to rage and TP. Nope, that looks like they don't want to fight. And just forcing Fnatic to waste the smoke. Certainly not a waste of time for them. The way Loda was dancing around, looks like they might have wanted to try to catch someone in a fight, but not the case, as they realized it was a mass gank. And that if they try to take a fight right there, they probably were going to be on the losing end of things. We can see that Fnatic has gained a slight gold lead. Certainly nothing to write home about, but not too bad either. So it's 750. But again, a lot of that just little things. Hell, that's basically the difference in Roshan at this point. Experience very, very close to dead even as well. So it's reaching that point where with the Templar Assassin, especially the way Hani has decided to build her with the phase BKB, this is really when she needs to be busy. This is really when she needs to be getting a lot accomplished. And she does fall off quite a bit as you come down the line. She's just not a late game carry. I mean, she can take a game over. She can get so far ahead that it feels hopeless to even try to engage her. But S4 going to get the coil on too. This is a big turnaround as Era and No-Tail caught out playing greedy. Trixie's going to engage, but he's going to be immediately sprouted. That was a little bit of wishful thinking there, Trixie. I guess thought that his cogs were a lot scarier than they were, just hoping that Alliance wouldn't just beat his face in after he hooked in. And now Hani silenced, but no follow-up, as no one else from Alliance cared to follow it up. They are going to take this stack from Fnatic, though. So being able to get two very high-profile kills, being able to slow down the farm of Era, being able to take that stack, this is very, very nice for Alliance. And Loda actually decides to go with a Midas following the completion of his drums. So he's looking to play for the late game as well, so he could be in for quite a long one as we settle in. Once again, this is game one of our Season 3 third-place decider, Alliance and Fnatic, and what will most likely be a preview of what is to come in Las Vegas coming up January 7th and 8th at Caesars Palace. You can find all the details about that at D2L, finals.d2l.gg, and hope you guys will find a chance to come out and say hello. It's a totally free event, absolutely no charge, and would love to have you there in the Kingston Ballroom at Caesars. So looking at the way the lineups are continuing, the inventories are continuing to fill out. About 1,400 gold up on S4, certainly Scythe of Ice most likely going to be the choice he wants more than anything else. Visage picked up a Ring of Health. We'll see what he wants to do with that. But Era's actually going with a tankish build right now. Has the bit booster up following his Midas. Has been slowed down quite a lot. In fact, for him to have had free farm and to, he got one early point in Grievel's Greed, opting instead to max acid spray. And we've seen how effective that is. But he's actually sitting right smack in the middle in terms of net worth. He's not even worth as much as the puck is at this point. And Loda's certainly not hugely ahead, but 1,000 gold at this stage of the game, the difference in carries, that tends to compound itself the more time that goes by. And with both heroes opting for a Midas, one would imagine we're going to see quite a few minutes go by as we now reach minute 20 and the conclusion of the early game, moving now into the mid game. S4 locked and loaded, has a passenger and is going to go head hunting. Hani did not get spotted there. He had, would have been very bad news. Alliance really feeling aggressive now. There's S4 trying to jump on Era. Will be able to jaunt, and there's Bulldog. Silence out. Trixie's going to re-engage, though. Gets down the cogs, but the coil's there. That's the death of the Alchemist, and Trixie now cleans up on the back of it as well. Hani pops his BKB, wants to re-engage on the EGM. Visage Familiars get the stun, and that's an unfortunate pause if ever I've seen one. That would explain a little bit. Bulldog. Given pretty solid advice. All right, run from Enigma. Yes, avoid the Enigma. Fly has been having router issues, so he's back, and we're back underway as EGM cleans up on the back of that fight. There's going to be the open wounds on the No-Tail. No-Tail already beaten down, but Loda eating the stun, and a great two-man black hole catches Loda. Can they clean him up? The damage just isn't there, though. Fly ends up trading himself for Loda. No-Tail most likely going to die on the back end of this as well. It's a 3 for 2 so far, about to be a 4 for 3, it would seem. And here comes the, I was going to say, I heard Bulldog coming back in. S4, though, eating a lot of damage from the Visage Familiars. He's going to be forced to jaunt. There's a TP away to get one safe. And S4 showing off the blink should be able to make it back as well. So Alliance coming out fairly big winners on the back of that fight, making 13-9 now. Alliance squarely in the lead. You take a look at the map control as well. They're actually one tower ahead now. So just being able to shut Era down as efficiently as they have. And looks like he will be going for an Assault Cuirass, just getting the casual Vit booster just to tank up, recognizing what I've kind of been talking about all game, where Alliance is fairly reliant on burst and abilities. I mean, they just don't have a lot of sustained damage other than Loda, and he actually is looking to go with a armlet. So again, not the rarest thing anymore, just not nearly as popular as it once was. But picking up the armlet, S4 once again loaded up, down goes the Sentry. And we'll see if he wants to engage, recognizing the whole team's here. Roche down to about half health. If they want to go in, they're going to have to do it soon. We're going to see Bulldog coming in on the high side of the fight. Here come the Treants. Roche, there we go. There's going to be a coil on the back of this BKB going to be popped. And Roche still up, but Fly with no black hole to contribute. He's only right-clicking. Loda actually will be cleaned up on the back of the fight, though. Bulldog and S4 maintain the high ground. Well shot Split Earth catches Hani, but the refraction up to get him back into fighting shape, and EGM in trouble, caught by the Visage Familiars. Era's going to go ahead and chase this all the way back. And EGM doing what damage he can. Hit a nice Split Earth, but as much sustained magic damage as he has, just not enough. And Hani and S4 continuing to go one-on-one. Bulldog's on the high ground, but with Alliance trading 3 for 1 there, Roche will be picked up, or will be dropped, and the Aegis picked up by the Alchemist. And it looks like, Fnatic's not willing to let it go quite yet. Pursuing Alliance out as S4 continuing to hang around quite a while. Needs to be careful. And really quite remarkable how well Fnatic did in that fight. Coming out of the Roche pit, they didn't have a black hole from Fly. And Alliance was just a little too spread out. Bulldog got spotted out on the high ground much earlier than he would have liked to. I mean, he sprouted the Treants and began to walk them down, but he was engaged on and stunned out, so he contributed very little. And that's so tough for a Prophet, especially with the build the Bulldogs opted to go with. This is, you don't, when you go this kind of a Prophet build, you want to land and do your damage immediately. Land, Orchid, use the Shadow Blade, bonus damage, then try to get yourself away. And in that situation, he did as much as he could and certainly survived towards the end, but just unable to really contribute the way he would have if he had come in, say, right on top of someone in an unexpected situation. Say something like this. And here's that global presence I was talking about, a Nature's Prophet with a Lifestealer, and the ganking potential this has on its own. But as we can see, without a stun, Hani able to make it away to safety, and Alliance missing out on a big opportunity there. They're going to double back, and they might decide to go ahead and push. They're in a situation where they can begin to split push on the back of Bulldog's Nature's Prophet. And, at 24 minutes, again, just did well in lane, didn't die, set up the initial first blood, and now look at him. In great shape, sitting atop our net worth board. Hani, sitting right underneath him, is going to go with a Manta-style approach. And, again, not bad. Certainly not a weird build by any stretch. But Fnatic increasingly is reaching a point where they need to execute. Era's farm simply isn't where it needs to be. He's being outclassed a bit by Loda. Speaking of Loda, he's going to be caught out. He's going to be forced to rage. Flies right there, has a black hole on the ready, but Trixie gets the cogs down, and Loda cleaned up as his rage expires, and the rest of Alliance a little late to the party. Era, a little bit of egg on his face from the unstable concoction, but quite happy to eat that, I'm sure, as simply didn't have a target to throw it at. At this point, though, Fnatic, they've come in danger of allowing momentum to slip it fully into Alliance's favor. We can see the gold graph has moved in their direction, but it's still a very close game on both sides. Only about 1,500 gold separating the experience, just a little under 2,500. Bulldog being chased out, but no detection, at least. It doesn't seem to be any on Fnatic, at least for the moment, so he should be able to keep himself safe and sound for a little bit longer. Down at bottom, we can see Hani's actually spending a lot of time farming. His Manta style is done for all intents and purposes. And I would imagine when that item comes out, Fnatic's going to want to put it to use very quickly. We actually see Fly has picked up some dust. So looking to have some way to account for Bulldog and some way to bring him down when they can. Assault Cuirass very nearly completed now for Era. Just looking for the Hyperstone. Has his recipe up. Just needs another 700 gold or so, and that'll be very nice for them. Again, more armor reduction. Just really tough for this Alliance squad to stand up to any kind of right-click damage that TA in particular is going to be able to pour out. But, I mean, at this point, when you're talking about this, stacking this much armor reduction between the Medallion, between Meld, between acid spray and so on. It doesn't matter who's right-clicking. Like, it's just going to hurt ridiculously badly. And Alliance has to be, again, very careful of their positioning and has to get these fights started on their own terms coming out from S4. S4, looking for his Scythe of Ice, has the Ultimate Orb up. About 1,000 gold from picking up the Mystic Staff, and not too far away from completing the item after that. But still, a big window, and Fnatic knows it. We've seen Fnatic burn through a lot of smokes lately. Alliance has done a great job, for the most part, of dodging the smoke ganks out, or at least preventing Fnatic from getting secondary and tertiary objectives based on the success of the smoke gank. Like when we saw them bring down Loda. Bringing down Loda is worth it on its own. And, yep, Trixie there with the hook. Loda cogged in and cleaned up again. Now, this is where Alliance has to either trade or try to just stall this out. Loaded down for 50 seconds right now. And don't think he'll buy back. He could, but he probably won't. Looks like they just want to trade Tier 2 for Tier 2. And they're going to be able to do that. Tier 2 top, dropping in very quick fashion. Right behind it, Tier 2 bottom. And Fnatic's going to go ahead and push through. So they're trying to force this buyback out of Loda right now. But the push potential on Alliance is enough that they're going to have to be very careful what they trade for. Bulldog pushing down top. The duo push of Ake and EGM here in mid. And they're going straight for the Tier 3. That Tier 3 will be brought down and now onto the racks. And we'll see when they want to pull the shoot, when they want to just go ahead and get back. Right there's one set of racks down. They're going to bring down the other. And now get back in time to engage. Hani, though, caught out as soon as he lands. Pops the BKB. That should be enough to force them away. Alliance did manage to get the Tier 3, but no racks. So seemed like a fairly decent trade. And they do manage to get both racks down at bottom. They haven't bailed out completely yet. In the meantime, down at bottom, we can actually see, yep, there's a buyback from Trixie. Up now we're going to have the coil go down right in the shadow of these racks. Bulldog snaps the Bulldog and EGM pulling back. Fly still has his black hole. Thought he would shoot it there, but Bulldog, despite being dusted up, they're going to grab him again. And nope, unable to get off any kind of a stun. And EGM likely to die here as the Visage Familiars are there. Pops the Ghost Scepter to keep himself alive, but not going to last forever. So a fairly decent trade that time. Going the way of Fnatic. They do lose their Tier 3, but in exchange, they end up getting a Tier 2 bottom, and more importantly, this bottom set of racks. Alliance did manage to bring down the outer tier tower in mid, so no outer tier towers remaining for them. So map control a little bit in favor of Alliance, but again, just having this bottom lane perpetually pushed in, got to make things hard, as one would imagine. Bulldog has decided to transition straight to right click now, as he completes in one shot. Daedalus to go with his Shadow Blade and Orchid Malevolence. Now, this is a fairly typical late-game build. He's actually coming out with it very quickly because of his absurd net worth. 16,000 net worth at 29 minutes into this game. Bulldog just continuing to do what he does, which is play a phenomenal Nature's Prophet. You know, he's just one of those players that just seems to always find gold. Like, no matter what start he had, and again, his start wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. You just wake up at the 30-minute mark, and he has damn near a full inventory. That's really where he is. I mean, he's 4 slotted right now. And I mean, looking to add to that much sooner than Fnatic would like, I'm sure. But we can see it's been a standout performance from Hani. But again, this is what the hero does. Templar Assassin, a mid-game monster. And right now, a big part of Fnatic's success, sitting at 7-0-4. After that, it's remarkably a grab bag, though. We can see the split push is beginning to come into effect. And this is really Alliance's best option for extending this game. And EGM, Ghost Scepter's just as the Unstable Concoction hits, but really not going to matter, as he hung around way too long and ends up paying the price for it and giving Hani a monster kill in the process. S4 poking his nose around the Roche pit. Roche will be back up in just a moment. We'll see what duration Roshan will be. Yep, it's being pinged out now. Yep, it's actually going to be a longer one. Longer duration. Just about 2 minutes. And this is where Fnatic really has, it's such a small, it's not, I shouldn't call it small, it's such a very narrow advantage, but it is an advantage nonetheless. Just the constant pressure Alliance has to feel under every time Roshan comes back up. They're going to feel very tense. They know if they lose a hero, especially if they lose Puck in particular, that it's going to be a free Roshan for Fnatic every time. They just do it so quickly and so effectively with this composition, the way they've built them out, that there is no room for error on that front. And they have to make sure they execute whenever it's up. Ake, though, going to be caught out. There's the Malefice and the hook from Trixie. And, yeah, now with her down, they're going to duck straight into the Roche pit. And there's going to be very little that Alliance can do other than buy back. And, this is one of those unfortunate situations. Alliance has no idea if the Roshan is up right now. They've been zoned out so far by Fnatic. They had S4 checked just as Roche was about to technically be able to respawn. But they still have to play as if he is up and as if it's a truly urgent thing. So that buyback hurting EGM quite a bit. Taking a look at the rest of the items, EGM has picked up a Sange. Would imagine that would be on the way to a Halberd. It's a very nice way to deal with Hani's TA. Also tank him up in the process. Loda already has a Halberd of his own, though. Picking that up following his armlet, has another 1,100 gold or so in the bank at the moment. And taking a look at Hani, who, again, has really been our master of ceremonies here in Game 1. Adds boots of travel to go with his Manta, FaZe, and BKB. And Bulldog, yep, I was going to say, but he's locked and loaded, and sure enough he is. Chasing down Era, and really good instincts there not to engage. We heard the ping, we saw the ping, he knew it was coming. And Fnatic now looking to move out and counter. Ganked him as S4, eats the side trap, he's slow, but he is puck, so would have been able to escape if he really, really wanted to, instead just not feeling the urgency. In the meantime, we're just going to see Bulldog take load into bottom lane and look to go to work, split pushing this in. And again, this is their best option to extend this game and just to try to give themselves a chance to win. Just any time you see Fnatic commit, they don't have to overcommit. Just if they commit somewhere, go and try to punish them for it. Go and punish the fact that they are giving up map control to be so aggressive. Bulldog going to spot out Trixie, and out comes Loda. Force staff on Trixie, not enough to get him to safety. Flies there, though, with a black hole. Got them both. Bulldog cleaned up. Loda right behind it. There's an immediate buyback, though, out of Admiral Bulldog. But that's really not going to do a whole lot. I mean, we see he was able to hook up with S4 at top, and they did end up bringing down a set of racks. Scythe of Ice shown off as a new purchase. No Tails right there with him. And Bulldog hanging right beside him. Here comes Era, ready to engage. EGM just going to man mode right into Fnatic. There's a two-man coil, but nothing to follow it up. S4 still has a little time left on this DD, and No Tail playing right up in his mouth about it and forcing the jaunt away. And Hani, yeah, he's going to go ahead and pursue him out. But the melee rack's still standing at top. However, they did manage to get the range racks, which is certainly a step in the right direction if you happen to be an Alliance fan. 17-21. We've got 38 kills in a 34-minute game, and it was a very quiet game early on. We only had 2-3 kills, maybe 4, at like 10 minutes in. And now, back up to par. Roshan has respawned. Alliance is aware, and we're going to see Hani bring down the Treant and immediately go to work. The Familiars are there, and the Acid Spray along with Meld. Again, the armor reduction on Roshan so considerable. Yeah, negative 15 right now between these heroes. And S4 going to spot this out with the illusory orb. Doesn't matter. He's going to try to snatch it. And, yep, looks like, yeah, TA manages to get it. And that's an official godlike streak for Hani. Beyond godlike at this point, sitting at 10-0. So S4 trying to do what he can, but now he may have just boned his team because does he have buyback? He does, and he might have to spend it. There's been a lot of gold spent right now by Alliance in terms of buybacks. And we can see they maintain a gold lead. But Loda just really has not felt very effective on the Lifestealer as a whole. Again, he has the tools. He has the Halberd in particular. But right now, Fnatic is just kind of outmaneuvering Alliance. There's no other way to say it. Bulldog has played remarkably well. And it's not that anyone's done a whole lot wrong. Just their movement as a team, for the most part, has been a little lacking. And Fnatic has done a great job punishing them for it. 15 seconds until S4's back up now as they rush down the Tier 3. And we can see Loda and Bulldog coming to the defense. There's Trixie going to land a hook onto EGM. They bring down the Tier 3. Hani's right there to follow it up. Era going toe-to-toe with Loda. There's the Sprout to lock him in, but Loda has to get out of the fight. EGM still not safe. There's a two-man coil, but BKB's already up on Hani. And the freezing field from Ake immediately canceled. The damage output from the Familiars alone just too high. They're brought down, but Loda's rage on cooldown, and he ends up dropping and being forced to buy back. That's going to make this an all-in defense. They can't afford to lose this set of racks after those buybacks. They just can't. They're chasing down Hani, and they are going to be able to pop his Aegis, but I don't think Hani minds. He's basically just freed up time to bring down yet another set of racks. And he's back up ready to fight. Scythe Device was used. But LOTA doing what damage he can. Still just can't hang in these fights. EGM caught one more time. Era there to chop him down. Ghost Scepter delays it, though. He should be able to scramble for the well. Soul Assumption continues to do good damage. That long-range artillery fire from No Tail really going to work. Now LOTA engaging on the Honey. Refraction buys time, but again, every time he engages, they just have, oh, nice! With the Unstable Concoction, stunning 2 right outside of the well. And speaking of well, they have begun well diving at this point. Would not surprise me to see a GG come out in very short fashion. And LOTA, yeah, he may die in his own well. Very nice split earth coming out of EGM, though. Might have saved him. Black hole right there, though. That's a 3-man hole. And 3 gonna drop because of it. 5 are down, and game 1 goes to Fnatic. GG called. And what was for a while. I mean, look how close this game was across the board. Never more than a 2,500 gold lead for either side, and barely that even in most cases. The experience, never more than 5,000 in favor of anyone, and for the most part, again, much closer than that. But Fnatic, again, they have this team composition, and I talked about it during the draft, where they were going to have this window of opportunity that they could execute through, and they just had a team that was so good at punishing any mistake that was going to be made, in particular with Roshan's, in particular with being able to just melt down Lifestealer, even though he was raged. Just so much minus armor between the Alchemist, between Templar Assassin's Meld, just so many ways to account for him. And Fly's Enigma play, even though he finished this at 0-3 and 16, he didn't throw that many holes, but when he did, they tended to count. And that's really what you want out of an Enigma, more so than anything else. Taking a look at Alliance, we can see LOTA struggling quite mightily, finishing up 3-9-5 with only a 448 GPM. Era, who granted did not go with a Revel's Greed build, instead opting to max Acid Spray and then Unstable Concoction after 1 or 2 points into it. Still finished at a decent 6-4-10, 549 his GPM. But really, of course, the standout is Hani on Templar Assassin. And you know, TA is a hero who's built to do this, a snowball hero who's built to take over early and mid games. Right around 35-40 minutes is when you usually expect to start seeing her fall off, and he just performed so consistently, got so far ahead in levels. I mean, finishing 4 levels ahead of the enemy carry and 2 levels ahead of the highest hero on the enemy team, being Bulldog on Nature's Prophet. 3-2 for him. I mean, he finished with a pretty damn full inventory, but again, Fnatic was just so good at taking fights on their own terms and in situations they knew benefited them that we really didn't even see the Prophet pick come into fruition nearly as much as we would have expected, based on how good of a game Bulldog had across the board. 37 minutes, 22 seconds, the official game time, 18-28. The final kill score, and game 1 of our third place decider, rounding up the last bit of unfinished business from Season 3, and Fnatic leads this series 1-0 as we now look ahead to Game 2. I'm your host here at AC Chambers. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Welcome in once again. We finished up all of our D2L Season 4 play, or at least our regular Season 4 play, just a couple weeks ago. And getting close to Christmas, hopefully everyone's got their, if you're a Christmas kind of person, get your Christmas tree up, you're menorah, if you're Jewish, or whatever. Just, I love it all. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it too. And really glad we get to do this series and finally get this out of the way. Something the fans have been anticipating for a long time. I finally found a way to make the schedule work. And again, it's a really cool preview for us as well, looking ahead to our grand finals. Because very good chance these two teams are going to end up meeting at the grand finals, either in the upper or the lower bracket at some point. So right now, Fnatic just one game away from finishing officially in third place. And Alliance looking to, well, they want to knot it up. They want to give us a full day of Dota action here in this best of 3. We'll find out which team's up to the task coming up next here on the HyperX D2L. Stick with us. We'll be right back.